Carpe diem, seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome to Carpe Diem. On today's episode, we're talking all about staying positive. Now, your attitude towards yourself and whether you're optimistic or pessimistic may actually affect your health. Positive thinking just means that you approach unpleasantness in a more positive and productive way. Not all of us know how to manage our attitudes, especially if you're a rebellious teenager. Dean Atwell takes us to a place where Zoomers help the next generation learn how to cope.
I had a little cat, a Hereford cat with a little white face. It was really cute. I had to teach it how to be fed. Took it to the local fair. We used to have fairs in those days.
In an age where information is often shared with technology, here at a farm in Langley, aging Canadians have an opportunity to share their skills, knowledge, and life experience with youth.
So everything on the table is from a second-hand thrift store in Langley.
Now, there's like a multi-generational program happening as well. Mentorship.
Yeah.
So elaborate on that. How important is it? How does it work here?
Well, the kids that are on my caseload are all kids that aren't school ready. They don't have a lot of positive relationships with different generations. They've isolated themselves or burned a few bridges with family. So they come here, it's a fresh start, and we front-end load them with manners and things that they need to remember to do, and they just get practice at it, and the seniors love it.
That sounds better.
When it comes to kids, if you want to talk to a kid, you're better off talking to a kid with a hammer in your hands and fixing a fence than you are to pull up two chairs and face each other in an awkward silence.
Kids learn differently.
Kids learn differently, and I think we all will just want the same thing. We all want to be accepted and to share common interests. And who knows that we've got 30, 40, 50 kids come a day, and maybe 2 or 3 of them connect with a senior that has something to offer, and that's 2 or 3 kids that wouldn't have connected any other way.
So we can make this jean bag made out of jeans, if you wish.
We have somebody that just showed up today that is a senior that's making purses and clothes for her granddaughter out of jeans. And we have 2 of the youth that were walking around that came in, and they were asked whether they would like to do that, and they said they'd love to do that.
Do you think you would be interested in making one of these?
Yes.
Yeah. And which one do you think you'd like the best?
A pillow.
The
or
pillow?
Actually this.
That?
That.
The little book
The
cover?
book cover.
That's made out of a pair of jean shorts.
Really?
Really?
So there's a lot of skills that we find in the digital age that may get lost.
Exactly. My granddaughters all have sewing machines, and we FaceTime and sew.
Sew together digitally.
Yeah.
Passing on the knowledge of seamstressy.
Yes.
We can relate through an exchange of ideas. Like they can show me more about technology, and I can certainly love them and listen to them. I think that's what they need more than anything, is to be listened to.
The youth, there's a lot of the kids that come here, they don't have grandparents. And we got a lot of the seniors that come here that maybe are missing their grandkids. And so this is just people being people. It's just as simple as that. It's just people being people.
To learn more or get involved with the mentoring of youth programs, please visit the website. In Langley, Dean Atwell, Joy Television.
Now, according to a recent article in Psychology Today, there's a common misconception in our culture that self-love spontaneously arises within every person. There's a belief that we can't fully love someone else until we love ourselves. Now, while there may be some truth to the notion that we can't give love if we don't feel it in ourselves, we can certainly act in loving ways towards others if we choose that intention. When we come back, we'll be talking about the power of music on our health.
Still ahead on Carpe Diem.
It affects our emotions, it affects our brains, and it's just this universal second language we have.
diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. Now let's talk about music and aging. Now we all have this soundtrack of our lives, don't we? The songs that make us feel good. But do we fully understand the power that these feelings have on our health? Well, let's watch my conversation with Dr. Penninger and Dr. Wong. They know this subject really well. Well, there's no doubt that music makes us feel good, but is there more to it than that?
Well, I think there is. It brings out emotions. We might remember when we listen to a familiar piece that when did we hear that before? Whom were we with? And what were we doing? I think a lot of these things, when put into the right place, can be extremely helpful.
And does music change our vibrations? Like, is there a physiological change? Joseph, for example, with classical music, and you hear a note and it just like sends shivers through your spine. What happens?
Yes, people actually did some brain scans. So they've actually listened to certain music, that particular brain regions are actually activated, like centers which make you feel good, centers which give you empathy. So indeed, you can directly measure in our brains the physiological, what's happening. And we also know from brain research that, of course, the brain is not just this isolated unit, but it feeds into our body, changes our immune system, of course, changes our whole physiology.
Music is therapy.
Absolutely. It is like magic. For many people living with Alzheimer's disease, the most common type of dementia, and for the loved ones, their families, their care partners, an opportunity to socialize, an opportunity to really experience joy through music can be a very powerful tool.
And of course, music is universal. Everybody understands it. That the scales and the composers make just poetry out of it. And it affects our emotions, it affects our brains, and it's just this universal, different second language we have, we can all understand.
Yeah, and it can really change our mood. So how crucial is music to aging?
I think music is very important in anybody, all of us, but in particular those who are living with chronic health conditions and people living with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. But again, just remember, music is there for us to enjoy. Music is there for us to experience. And music, to many of us, and I agree with Joseph completely, I'm also a very musical person. Music, to many of us, is just part of us. So as we embrace healthy aging, we also need to embrace music.
And actually in the Sound and Science we ran, there's actually one little picture in there, Strauss standing beside Brahms. And if you look at the picture, Strauss looks really young and Brahms looks really old, but Brahms is actually 10 years younger.
Long, healthy life, that's the key. There's an old Chinese proverb that a bird does not sing because it has an answer, it sings because it has a song. Now, I grew up in the house of my great uncle, the Archbishop Tio Ramon, who had a doctorate in music, and our house always had the most beautiful sounds. And like most of you, I'm sure, I now have my favorite music to calm my soul or energize my body. Now, when we come back, we'll be talking about aging and lessons learned.
Still ahead on Carpe Diem.
Zoomer means just being active and keeping going.
What does it mean? It means living a long, healthy life.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. Age is just a number, or is it? Now, a number doesn't mature you into a wiser individual. The amount of life you've experienced, that's what defines us. And I wanted to ask a few Zoomers about this, so here's our conversation.
What does it mean? It means living a long, healthy life.
Zoomer means just being active and keeping going.
Yeah, it's dancing on the table still, of course, out there. Socializing, having happy hours.
It's a good magazine. I saw that magazine called Zoomer.
Not too bad.
See that little convertible there?
Is that your Mustang?
That goes on road trips once or twice a year.
Just came back from Kenya, saw lions, cheetahs, all kinds of neat things. It was fun.
Well, right now I've got a pulled meniscus, so I can't do much, but I walk a lot and do yoga.
I probably walk 19,000 steps a day.
At a minimum, I bicycle every day. When I'm not writing a book, I tend to swim 5 days a week, about 1.5 miles a day, and occasionally lift weights.
Well, I walk around a lot, but I also like to draw. And if you look at this scene right here, you see all kinds of volumes and shapes and perspective and so on. That's very, very exciting. I'm still at it.
Gloria, it seems like each one of those people found something that they love to do, and no matter what, they just keep doing it.
Well, that's a really important thing, that you have to find things that are going to be meaningful and that give you a reason to get up in the morning. We hear a lot about social isolation these days, and some people don't have the same friends that they grew up with. They may have lost a spouse.
Yeah.
But you have to replace those with other people or with other activities. Nothing wrong with being by yourself if you like yourself.
Blue, are you ever going to retire?
I was on an audition this morning, had a hoot, and still rolling, man, because there's a lot happening out there. I'm so enjoying the growth in the film industry in Vancouver. It's blowing my mind. I was there from the beginning, man.
Yeah, you were.
And it's just exploded. Some of my favorite shows to watch on TV are shot right here.
Now, you come from the arts world, you went into politics. Are you ever going to hang up the gloves?
Not likely. People keep asking me if I'm enjoying being retired, and I sort of look at them. Gee, I didn't know I was, you know. It's that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But there's so much to do in the city. As Blue says, there's so much work for actors, and that needs to be encouraged. So I'm always working to try to show off who our artists are and what they're doing in the city, as well as being able to pass on the knowledge that I acquired running theaters. So
Well, I think that's what happens, right? It's a life of accumulated experience, and Gloria, you're a perfect example. You're not going anywhere.
No, well, retirement is not a word in my vocabulary, but I'm having great fun enjoying the arts and going to all kinds of odd and wonderful productions that are going on in the city. You really need to get out and look for all of the good things.
Any advice on what it's like to be a dynamic person aging?
Well, I can say it's wonderful in many ways because you feel far more secure about who you are and what you know. And I think when you're in your 20s, you're never quite sure if you really have the answer, you know. And now I do have the answer. You know, my daughter's getting married in 3 weeks, and I have the right answers for her.
Passing the wisdom on, passing it on. Lou, your final thoughts.
Well, I would like to relate a story I heard on NPR some years ago. It was this woman who was a marathon runner, and she was being interviewed because she was turning 94. And they said, well, do you have advice for people because you've achieved this wonderful... She said, have as much fun as you can have, and for God's sake, stop taking yourself so seriously. Yes. I thought that was the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. I love to leave that with the group.
Having a sense of humor, that's it.
That's the biggie.
Right? Don't take yourself too seriously.
No.
Have a sense of humor. Do we get happier as we age?
Well, there is some data that suggests that's the case, and that the toughest time is around middle age, when people have these crises and they start to sort of look and think about how much time do I have left, and do I want to continue to be who I am?
Well, we heard today that the answer is have fun and just keep on going. So I'm so grateful to you all for coming, Blue, Gloria, and Elizabeth. We can all learn from adversity and our own challenges as much as we can learn from our successes. The trick is to stay positive and not give in to those negative thoughts. When we come back, it's a story of redemption. It's never too late to do and be good.
Still ahead on CARPe Diem.
It's a transformative justice place where victims of crime and imprisoned people come together and work.
CARPe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome back. So far, we've looked at how our positive outlook and attitude affects our health, mood, and longevity. But how do you stay positive during adversity? Our final story today takes us to a farm in the Fraser Valley founded by two Zoomers who wanted to help prisoners give back to those that their crimes had impacted. Take a look at this.
Lovely new bag of
Oh, I love that stuff. That's good stuff.
There we go, and 2 bunches of carrots.
You bet.
Okay.
Here in Mission, beautiful British Columbia, Emma's Acres is a property that is run by prisoners and volunteers. It integrates small-scale family farming with social development and community enterprises.
Transformative justice place where victims of crime and imprisoned people come together and work.
I started coming out in about June 2018, 3 days a week volunteering. So Sherry would come to the prison and pick me up, and out we would come and take care of the crops. I started in the field.
So we came from Ontario, my wife and I. We came for this program specifically. Sherry and Glenn took us on.
The farm is named after Reverend Emma Smiley from Victoria, and was a very dear friend of mine. She used to take me to lunch, and we used to sit there talking, and one of her ideas, I used to think she was crazy, was that we should get a farm and help youth.
Well, what happened was last August, he got diagnosed with lung cancer, and it went to his brain, and he died, it'll be a year, October the 26th. My husband, my friend, I knew him 40 years. He was stand-up, he was loyal, he was smart, he was stubborn, he was handsome. He danced, he never forgot where he came from, he didn't forget his friends inside, you know, just a good guy. While he was sick, we talked a lot about what we wanted to continue to do, and that's what we're doing. All of our land now is under cultivation. We have our 2 greenhouses, we have a chicken coop, all the infrastructure's in place, the irrigation, the soil amendments, so it's all pretty good.
Let me see if I can get that water going. Look at that, eh? Isn't that lovely? During COVID, Shay and Nikki and Sherry, they were growing a lot of vegetables in the greenhouse, and there was no way to distribute them, so I started to do deliveries just because people wanted fresh vegetables. They were so happy to get it. They were eating the vegetables as you took them to the front door.
Purple cabbage, you didn't want them too big?
There's 2 sizes, so then this size is meant to feed a family of 2. And then we have our large boxes over there, which is meant to feed a family of 4. And our biggest complaint is that we're offering too much food. The core staff of us, we sat down and brainstormed what can we do. And then we made a list of programs that we would like to provide. And we did kind of a, if we build it, hopefully they will come. So we made the programs not having enough labor and just figured that we would work, 7 days a week, 12-hour days. And then as the word spread in Mission, people started helping.
Because we don't spray, everything has to be weeded by hand.
I believe they used to get their volunteers from the prison, and because of COVID, everything was locked down. So Sherry put out a call on Facebook, and I'm a friend of hers, so I said, that's where I want to volunteer.
No one was allowed to go into a prison. No one was allowed to go out. So we had no volunteers. So I put the word out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and it's been amazing that people have come out.
Unprecedented times during the pandemic, and you're going above and beyond again to help the community.
That's because the community goes up above and beyond to help us. And even if they didn't, it's just what we're supposed to be doing.
And isn't that what Emma's Acres is, though? Everybody that comes here, you you take them in, best bits, worst bits, all of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Because it's a safe place. It's a place, that's what God does for us. And you know, that's just what it is.
It's a safe place.
It's a safe place.
Well, there's certainly been some amazing growth right here at Emma's Acres on the farm. If you'd like to get involved, volunteer, or learn more in any way, shape, or form, we encourage you to visit the website. Dean Atwell, Joy TV.
That was so touching. You know, through tragedy, there's always hope and renewal. It would have been so easy for Sherry to give up after Glenn passed, but his message of kindness and positivity lives on through the work that she continues to do at the farm. There's a good reminder that we can change the way we behave, we can make our lives better, regardless of the past. And that's the show. If you want to see a conversation happen here, do get in touch. And remember, as our CARPe president, Moses Neimer, always says, the best way to keep going is to keep going. So carpe diem and seize your day.